heard that you're looking to get back into reading. Hey friends, welcome back. Thanks for being here. I have 6 book recommendations from the past few months that I've absolutely loved. Got some nonfiction, some fiction, some memoirs, some thrillers, definitely at least one self-help book, you know me. So the first book is Crying in Mart by Zauner. She is the lead singer behind the band Japanese Breakfast. The story talks about her mom's cancer diagnosis and her relationship with her mom growing up. She's half white and half Korean, and one of the biggest metaphors and themes throughout the book is food as a way to convey emotion and love. Back in 2018, after her mom had passed away, she actually wrote a short essay for The New Yorker that became the foundation for the book. So there's so many really powerful and emotional anecdotes in this book. She had always kind of struggled with feeling like she belonged, kind of split between 2 cultures. Food was one of those things that, was kind of universal and was an unspoken way for her and her mom to convey their love and affection for each other. And that was something that I related a lot to because, food is something that's really important to me, and it's definitely one of the ways that me and my mom and my family also show our love to each other. A lot of Asian people can relate to their parents giving them a bowl or a platter of cut up fruit, all that you need to know that they care about you and want you. Especially when Michelle's mom was diagnosed with cancer and needed kind of extra care, and food was one of those ways that even if there wasn't too much that she could do, she could at least try a new recipe or try to recreate something that her mom had made for her growing up. And so you kind of see a role reversal in the book where it used to be her mom taking care of her through food, and now she's helping to take care of her mom, and food is one of the ways that she can give back and continue to make her feel comfortable and remind her about the things that she loves. It's such a strong read, just the way that Michelle's writing kind of conveys the emotions that she's going through. It's super raw. Made me really reflect on my relationship with my mom a lot, and it's that much more powerful once you realize that a lot of the music that she creates for Japanese Breakfast is based on the experiences that she had with her mom. Heart-wrenching, super sad, but just profoundly human. The second book, I actually came across this book in a gift shop in Half Moon Bay. It's called Home Baked: My Mom, Marijuana, and the Stoning of San Francisco by this woman named Alia Volz. And this is also a memoir. It's from the perspective of a daughter writing about her mother. Her mother's name is Verity, and she ran one of the largest weed brownie operations in San Francisco in the 1970s and 80s. And it's absolutely wild. Verity's husband, they kind of worked together on this operation, and he would design stickers and art for every weekly drop of this weed brownie operation, which was called Sticky Fingers Brownies. The beginning of each chapter includes some illustrations that would be pulled from designs that the father would draw up, which the sticker designs would rotate every week with each drop. There are actually online forums, Facebook groups, comment sections where people remember Sticky Fingers, and they actually have stickers that they've saved. There's so much that this book touches on outside of the drug operation. It talks about the gay rights movement, the AIDS epidemic, reefer madness, and the war on drugs. And one of the most interesting anecdotes is when Alia, the baby, was born, the mom, Verity, carrying her in a little pouch or pushing her on her stroller, and she's just got this bag slung across her shoulder that has thousands of dollars worth of weed brownies. On one hand, you've got the baby, innocent, pure little child, and on the other hand, you've got something that could land you in jail for decades. At the height of this Sticky Fingers operation, they were distributing up to 10,000 brownies a month. And it's really interesting to read about how the purpose and the role that this operation played in San Francisco politics and life for people in the city kind of evolved throughout the years. Initially, it was more of a way to stay entertained and just have a good time. But as the AIDS epidemic hit the city, the weed brownies kind of also became a tool to help soothe people who had AIDS, give them a little bit more of an appetite and just ease the pains and difficulties that they were experiencing. The next book is called No Filter, The Inside Story of Instagram by Sarah Freer. And this is an exclusive look into the story of Instagram. She has tapped into the minds of the original creators of Instagram, their original vision for the app, how it changed once they were acquired by Facebook, and their intentional decisions on all of the little features that were eventually released. If you remember Instagram in its early days, it was much more of an intimate community of people to share photographs and memories that they just felt were special to them. But as it grew, they changed the feed structure so that it followed an algorithm based on relevance instead of chronological order. They added hashtags, they added stories, now they've got reels. They had all these big names, celebrities that eventually created profiles, and it just became much more commercialized as the Facebook team kind of added pressure on them to continue to build their user base and start to make money for the company. And it also, towards the end, kind of touches on why the founders decided to leave the company, internal politics and other conflicts that they ran into. And just for me as a, 25-year-old person who's honestly pretty addicted to Instagram, one of the details that it kind of talked about was how Instagram changed online culture, public spaces such as cafes, so that it's less about the physical experience of being there and more about the aesthetic experience. So many cafes that you'll encounter these days, they've got dedicated sections, wall decor, so that it's Instagram worthy, and this is how they drive a lot of that buzz towards a business. This was just a really interesting story because I'm such a heavy user of Instagram. And so if you're looking to have a deep dive and kind of hear about the business decisions that these folks made, highly recommend this book. The next book is called Grit by Angela Duckworth. She's actually a professor of psychology at the University of Pennsylvania and is also the CEO of a nonprofit called Character Lab, which uses scientific insights to inform parents and educators on how to help their kids and students thrive a little bit more. This book actually came in at a perfect time in my professional career because I was struggling with self-confidence and feeling adequate at doing the job that I am in. And so I was questioning a lot of different things, my ability, if I was meant to stay in this type of career. And reading this book kind of helped put things back in perspective. Grit, as Angela Duckworth defines it, is kind of the intersection between effort and talent, or, she also refers to it as passion and perseverance. Most people put a lot of emphasis on talent and passion, but not as much emphasis on things like effort and persistence. So you can have success if you have low talent but a lot of skill, but it's very hard to achieve great things if you have high talent with low effort. There's a couple of insights that really helped motivate and rejuvenate my mental situation. One being that grit can be developed. It's not like you either have grit or you don't. You can always start building it and honing it. And it ties in a lot of other really relevant themes that I've been a huge fan of, such as growth mindset and believing that you can change, not viewing challenges as dreadful, stressful obstacles, but more of motivating, exciting challenges to overcome. It really lays it out in a way that's easy to understand. It ties in science, but also a lot of anecdotes and use cases so that you can really see the ways that you could apply this potentially to your own life. The last two books are fiction recommendations. Love me some fiction books. The first one, I think almost anyone would enjoy. It's called Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. And this is a good balance between sci-fi and a thriller. I read this book in just a matter of hours on the flight to Peru. And then on the flight back from Peru, I convinced Andrew to read it, and he also read it in one sitting. And so you'll fly through this book. It's got an amazing plot and also just so deep. So it's about this guy named Jason who actually lives in Chicago. and he is kidnapped one day by this unknown person and is knocked out in this abandoned warehouse. And when he wakes up, there are all these people around him that he doesn't recognize, and they're congratulating him and welcoming him, and all he wants is just to get back home to his family. And so he escapes wherever he is and tries to get back home to his house, and he realizes that his wife is no longer married to him, and his son no longer exists. This book is mind-blowing and just so thought-provoking in so many different ways. It had me reflecting on my entire life. One of the recaps that I read online, there's this terrific excerpt that I'll read out to you. It says, "A relentlessly surprising science fiction thriller about choices, paths not taken, and how far we'll go to claim the lives we dream of." The very last recommendation I have today is Verity by Colleen Hoover. This I would recommend for someone who is looking to get back into reading if you love fiction. Super great plot, really easy to read, definitely a leisure/entertainment read. Colleen Hoover has a bunch of other really good looking books that I'm excited to dive into next, but this is a mystery thriller with a bit of romance tied in. So the premise of the book is about this author named Lowen. She is taking on this new role as a ghostwriter to finish this series by this author named Verity, who was recently injured and is now essentially bedridden and pretty much brain dead. The wife's husband, Jeremy, hires Lowen to come finish the rest of her series and invites her to come stay at their house for a few days to go through the woman's notes and start to put together the drafts of the book. The backstory behind this family is that they had 3 kids total at one point, 2 twins, I believe, and then 1 son, but both of the twins ended up passing away in completely separate incidents in the past few years. And so this family is just really sad. It's still kind of grieving and getting over the loss. Once Lowen comes to stay with the family, as she's going through this author Verity's notes, she discovers this manuscript of this unpublished autobiography that Verity has put together that essentially sheds light on her true intentions about her marriage, her kids, what happened in her daughter's deaths. And Lowen is just reading these chapters and is absolutely horrified and unsure of what to do. And naturally, at the same time, her and the husband, Jeremy, start developing some feelings for each other. And so she's just trying to figure out, like, how do I do this? Do I still write this book? Do I tell the husband? Also blasted through this book in a matter of hours. Would highly recommend. But yeah, those are all the book recommendations that I have for you today. Hopefully you get a chance to check some of these out. I'd love to hear if you end up reading one of these and what you think. As you can kind of tell, I love any good fiction. Starting to get into nonfiction, things like memoirs and self-help books. So I would love any recommendations that you have, if there's been anything that you've read lately. Also a big podcast girl, so feel free to drop any of those in the comments down below. But appreciate you being here, and yeah, hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.